Galactus, often referred to as the Devourer of Worlds, was originally a mortal being named Galen from a highly advanced planet called Tar, which existed in a universe that came before the current one. As that old universe was destroyed, Galen alone survived, and he was fused with the sentience of that sixth cosmos. He then incubated for a while and emerged out as Galactus, the Devourer of Worlds. He isn't really a malevolent entity or a villain, but a force of nature whose role is to maintain cosmic balance. The Fantastic Four, the first steps, actually adapted Galactus very well, including keeping his appearance intact, his uncaring and cosmic purpose-driven attitude as well, and most of all, him being able to change sizes. Crazy, right? Although we didn't really see how he changed sizes in the movie, there were a lot of scenes in the movie that contradicted each other in the scaling of Galactus. And so here in this video we will showcase 5 scenes with 5 different sizes of Galactus, properly estimated by us. But before we start, we should address the biggest and smallest sizes of Galactus in the Marvel franchise. Well, he can pretty much be any size he wants to, and does so whenever he pleases, for either adapting to special circumstances like to combat Celestials or to eat worlds, or become smaller to interact with mortals and even shrink due to hunger. His smallest scaling is a bit less than 30 feet or 9 meters, and his biggest is bigger than multiple planets stacked one on top of another. But anyway, for the adaptation of this Fantastic Four movie, he can easily be stated to be a skyscraper in size. But that's not enough for you, is it? So let's take a look at 5 different scenes and give you the numbers. So the first is his entrance on Earth, jumping from his throne and landing in the lower bay next to the Statue of Liberty. It is actually easy to roughly estimate his size here because we know the height of the statue and the average depth of the seafloor in that place. So for size reference, we have the height of the Statue of Liberty, which is 306 feet, which is roughly 93 meters, more or less. And the average depth of the sea there is around 12 to 15 meters, which means 40 to 50 feet. And in one of the scenes we see the statue being shorter than Galactus while he was standing in the bay, which means we have to adjust a bit here with the image of the live-action Galactus placed next to a statue, or the image of the statue here. We can conclude here that the total height of Galactus in this scene is 1.4 times the statue, and thus that makes him around 440 feet or 135 meters tall, at least here in this scene. Then a bit later, we see him walking in New York City. In this walking scene, Galactus is shown to be moving past nearby skyscrapers, providing a clear visual reference for his immense scale. Using the surrounding buildings as a guide, one structure that is pretty close by shows 26 of its stories or floors. In New York City, where the average floor height ranges from 12 to 14 feet, these 26 floors would measure between 312 and 364 feet in total height. Galactus' total size here, however, when extrapolated with his official art, stands at roughly 4 times that size. And based on this scale, his full height would range between 1248 feet to 1456 feet, or approximately between 380 to 444 meters tall. His statue here dwarfs the city skyline and is roughly around the height of the Empire State Building from the base to the tip of the tower. However, in that scene where Galactus almost fell into the Teleportation Trap, that part where the Fantastic Four did the old switcheroo and switched the baby carrier containing Franklin Richards for an empty one, here we can see that Galactus was standing very close by to a building having a total of 11 floors, and clearly he was 2 or 3 floors taller than it. So given the standard floor height of the buildings in New York, which is between 12 and 14 feet, and thus we can conclude here that in this scene, Galactus had shrunk down to interact and get his hands on the baby. Here he would be around 156 to 168 feet, or between 47.5 and 51.2 meters. Still gigantic in size, bigger than Godzilla from -1, but way smaller than the Monsterverse Titans, at least in this scene. Then right after that, when he found out about the trick of the Four switching the baby, and then after him calling them clever little bugs, he grew again in size to scan the surroundings for Franklin Richards, who possessed the power cosmic. In this scanning scene, Galactus is seen looming near a building that serves as a size reference, which shows 17 of its stories or floors, and thus with that we can adjust the scale for a size reference. With the standard floor height in New York being 12 and 14 feet, like we just said earlier, the reference 17 floors would be between 204 and 238 feet. Galactus, however, is shown to be significantly larger, and our estimate puts him here in this scene at 3.85 times the scale of reference, which means he measures approximately between 781 to 900 feet in height, which is equivalent to 238 to 274 meters in the international terms. His massive form in this particular scene overshadows the urban landscape, equal to many skyscrapers. However, in his fight scene with the Thing, or should I say him flinging the Thing into space, he appears beside a building that was seen to have over 25 floors. However, here, Galactus only reaches the 22nd floor, or he's about the height of 22 floors in this scene. Given the standard floor height of 12 to 14 feet again, this places Galactus at a comparatively smaller scale, measuring about 264 to 308 feet in height, or 80.5 to 94 meters. Though less towering than in other scenes, he still maintains an overwhelming presence, more than enough to dwarf the Thing and dominate the block that he was on. So those are the 5 different sizes of Galactus in the movie, at least the ones we get a chance to estimate, or with a proper reference scale nearby so we can get the sizes. If it were other creatures or monsters, the differences in the scaling would create an uproar with the die-hard fans of those particular creatures. But here, it can be justified and kinda makes sense since the Devourer of Worlds can choose to be any size he wants to be, and that is his mojo. However, there is also the scene of Galactus in his spaceship, the Tar 2. But here, we don't really get any reference points for, adjusting the scale and getting his sizes from that. So that's still a question mark. But we can infer that he can grow to be really massive. So massive that he can eat worlds. Anyway, with that we end this video. Now, if you like this one, then watch this other one too, the one in the end screens. And do check out our channel for other monsters and gigantic content. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Take care, fam.